Everybody, and welcome to the 4th episode of Cast of Death, and today we're doing a very, very special and rather unstructured episode with 2 guests rather than 1 this time. My good friend Lord Slarr, or Dylan.
Hello.
And my other good friend and returning guest to the podcast, Jacob Licklider.
It's Licklider. Yes, I'm here.
I can never get it right for some reason.
The question is, will this podcast be as unstructured as Zagreus?
This is
Sick burns already, man.
This is the true question. Anyway, so we're gonna get started with the characters. As normal, but what was I saying?
You were talking about characters before you had a brain fart.
Yeah, I had a brain fart, sorry. Characters. We have a lot of characters to go over as normal, then we will get into my rather unstructured plot synopsis, which, Dylan, you'll get a kick out of that, I'm sure. And then we'll move on to final thoughts and so forth. Alright. So, let's just jump right into it. The good guys, the Doctor and Charlie. Let's start with them.
Well, wait. Is the Doctor really a good guy in this one? Because for half of it, he's kind of insane.
He's not really the Doctor for most of it.
Yeah.
Mostly Zagreus. Yeah. There's barely any Paul McGann at all.
Well, there's Paul McGann.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, Paul McGann's Doctor. I always refer to doctors as, like, their names, just cause.
But yeah, the Doctor doesn't do much in this one because for most of it, he's Zagreus. So, but there are bits with the Doctor towards the end. Any of you have any thoughts on how he's portrayed towards the end?
I don't remember. It's like 1.5 years ago. He's trying to make me remember.
Well, actually, I quite like it because it I originally listened to this after really only having seen the new series and some of the classic series. And
that's a terrible idea right off the bat.
I made a bad mistake. This was the first 8th Doctor audio I listened to.
Oh my god, you guys are terrible.
That's a bad
mistake. I didn't know. I just thought, oh look, it's a multi-Doctor story. Yeah, that was fun. And I was completely mistaken.
you made that mistake. No, so it gave me immense pleasure to see a companion who, quote-unquote, loved the Doctor basically get told, shut up, you're being an idiot. You're a human, I'm a Time Lord.
Immense pleasure. Is that like think of yours, Jacob? Watching people getting turned down by aliens?
No, only because I was around people who were like, Rose and the Doctor, OTP, best thing ever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, wait, but he's an alien, he's 900 years old, isn't that creepy?
Does this mean you, like, masturbate while watching series 3 then?
No!
Constantly get and watch Martha get turned down.
No.
So, it seems we've moved past the Doctor and on to Charlie. Charlie actually does a lot in this one. She's the main focus.
I love Charlie, yeah. Lovely character.
I think the whole point is that she's, at least in this story, she's being the guide for the audience. Because she's really the only one that's semi her usual.
Yeah, a lot of this story.
She's the only normal one, really.
She's the only normal one.
A lot of this story is just shit happening around Charlie, and
I'd say that's an accurate description.
Her not knowing what's going on. So it's nice to have a relatable character because
very relatable.
Very relatable.
Because we don't really know what's going on either. It's kind of like an Alice in Wonderland thing, which is the whole point.
Yeah. I think I probably liked it a lot more back then than I would now, just hadn't heard many audios. It was like kind of going with the flow. I'd probably be a lot more critical about it.
I read the plot summary, and then I've re-listened to it twice now. Not recently, but I've re-listened to it, and I read the plot summary on the TARDIS database, and
I
I liked it a lot the first time around, not so much when I actually look into it.
I think a lot of the problems with it partially come down to how Charlie is the only normal one. Maybe if we had a bit more where there was a little bit more explanation given to as everybody that we see is the TARDIS taking someone from the Doctor's past and or future.
Yeah, I mean, they literally have the Brigadier as a conduit to use to, like, exposition everything, and yet they don't use them properly. It's like, sure, it's lazy writing to have a little exposition, man, but if you don't even explain the most basic things, what's the point?
On that note, let's keep that for later and get to the other characters, because we're jumping into plot too fast for me. Okay, so here we go. Leela and Romana and K9. I'm doing them by how they...
Sort of in a grouping, yeah, that makes sense.
Grouping.
Because I listened to this before I realized that Tom Baker was back doing audios, and before I realized the Companion Chronicles were a thing. So when I initially heard it, I loved the fact that Leela and Romana were both, in it. I also
this would have been like the first time, like they're the main range doctor.
This is the first time,
like Gallifrey or something.
Ward, Jameson, and this isn't the first time Ward's come back. But this is the first.
She came back for Apocalypse Element, didn't she?
Yeah, but this is the first time I believe that Jameson came back, and of course K9 is K9. He's appeared in other stuff before.
I liked how they actually did the two K9s for a bit. Like, 'cause for a bit they just had both K9s.
Oh yeah, they did do that, didn't they?
Which I'm pretty sure was a
David
missed
Briarheart.
opportunity.
I don't know
Maybe
that.
we should have an entire story centered around the 3 K9s, or no, the 4 K9s.
I'm like
there we
5
go.
now.
If we have a multi-master story, why can't we have a multi-K9 story?
Yeah.
Or I'd say a multi-Romana story, but then I remembered.
We should have a multi-K9 story. That would be great.
Yes.
K9s
Also,
mark 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think there's only 4. Maybe there's 5
I think there's
now.
a 5th now in that stupid
Well,
Australian
and then also
thing.
there's the Abomination from Australia.
the 5
We
K9s.
don't talk about that one.
In that film that may come out
Whenever.
Not gonna happen, Dylan.
Time Quest, is it called?
Yeah, Time Quake. and it has
Time
an O for
Quake.
it.
With
It
Omega.
has Omega. Yeah.
I mean, just what were they thinking? Nobody wants it. How are they ever going to make it?
Well, now I've got to edit.
Bob Baker owns the
something in
copyright
here.
to these characters and realizes, hey, Doctor Who's a big thing again. Instead of, going to Big Finish and saying, hey, I have a story idea. Produce, please.
Yeah, like Philip
He
Hinchcliffe
went and
does.
did it himself or something, or
Pretty much. That's what it feels like.
They should just have a Bob Baker Presents range.
Yeah.
Bob Baker presents.
Because that'll get the punters in as much as Philip Hinchcliffe does.
Okay, Philip Hinchcliffe Presents is an amazing range. It's just so goddamn expensive.
Well, I got it in the sale for £18.
Yeah, no,
so
I got
there you
the
go.
first one in the sale, and then I got the second two in the bundle
I just
when
didn't.
they were announced.
Well, that's because you're a fake Tom Baker fan.
I thought he was a McGann fan.
I am a McGann fan.
What, are you saying that just because you like McGann, you can't like Tom Baker? What a fake fan you are, Jacob.
No, Baker's not in
Well,
my top 5.
I'm just saying that he doesn't claim to be a big Baker fan. He claims to be a big McGann fan. Yeah, he doesn't own any of McGann's books or comics.
What a fake McGann fan.
I actually own the 8 Doctors and
That book is shit.
the 2
Yeah, but
the 2
my fucking friend from primary school owns the 8 Doctors. That doesn't mean anything.
and the 2 Dalek books from McGann's range of novels. At least I physically own them.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so
Are we really going to do a dick waving contest about books?
I
Get back
think
to the
so. I think that's what
character.
we're doing.
Great.
So we go back to Leela, Romana, and K9.
Romana and Leela don't really do shit in this story, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
It's
They
I-
kind
it-
of just wander into Rassilon's tomb and are like, well, what do we do now? And
I mean, it's kind of sad because
Rassilon, like, I forgot the word.
Was Don Warrington in this as Rassilon?
Yes.
Good,
Yes.
because Don Warrington has a fucking
we'll-
sexy voice.
We'll get to him later.
Yes. No, it's kind of sad because Leela and Romana were both in Lungbarrow together, and there they just contributed so much more. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't really.
Well, I mean,
They're
let's face it. Zagreus is like mostly fan wank, and they're a part of the fan wank.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'd say it's generally good fan wank because at least it's for an anniversary story, and they decide to pull out all the stops. Cough, cough. Day of the Doctor.
Well, I'd just rather have a good story, even if it was like an unremarkable good story, than just fan wank.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think you generally have a good story here, like
It's just it's really drawn out.
and it's steeped in. But the problem is, it's just sort of steeped in a bunch of continuity. Like it's sort of the culmination of a lot of things. Like you have Charlie and the Doctor's relationship. Plus you have the culmination of some of the stuff in the Villains trilogy that gets mentioned, and you have all the Ford stuff early on.
Yeah. You've got a bunch of mythos from Classic Who in there too.
Yeah, and they're trying to tie together in the book, see how the books fit in, which I think that's a bit too much because it's very easy to fit in the books.
Doctor Who is kind of like the Marvel Comics at this point. There's just too much.
Well, yeah, but I think pretty much since the Wilderness years, everybody's accepted there's not really a Doctor Who canon. So just whatever you like to be real can be real for you.
Yep.
But it's not like with the Marvel Comics where... I mean, at least with Marvel Comics, like, the writers would have had access to all the old comics, whereas with Doctor Who, most of the writers wouldn't have had access to all the stories for quite a while.
Yeah, I can imagine Stephen Moffat still has to buy all the McGann stuff.
Obviously. I mean, I think he only threw in that line about Marinus to get people to shut up about asking him to bring Frobisher back.
Well, at least
Who's been asking for him to bring Frobisher back? I mean, I'd like it, but I've never seen anybody say that.
I remember an interview where he said he had gotten a lot of requests to bring Lily asked, when are you going to bring the Penguin back?
Oh, well, yeah, but Stephen Moffat's a right bullshitter, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in interviews.
Yeah.
I'm just being a...
Hey, at least Spare Parts is still canon, right?
It is.
Yep. The real origin story of Cybermen.
World Enough, let's be fair, World Enough and Time is pretty good.
No, but the thing is, I actually predicted that Moffat was going to do this, like the whole thing where it's just one origin of the Cybermen, because like it happens on loads of different planets, because that's just what happens with humans. That actually works with the whole concept of the Cybermen.
I like how my theory of each planet and place where the Cybermen develop are actually different races of Cybermen. They're not. They don't all come from the same place. We should
probably get back to Zagreus.
We probably should, yeah. So our next group of characters, since Romana, Leela, and K9 are basically in this story, they're Walton, Winkle, Tepish, and Townsend.
Okay, Townsend is just like the Fifth Doctor on television, an extremely dry character who is probably the weakest part of his section of the story. Like, he's like Peter Davison. Peter Davison's a great actor. He just makes this character just as boring as his Doctor was on television, which is kind of sad because you have. Can I say you have his little mini segment being essentially an espionage thriller about the formation of the Forge and things like that,
and the Divergence.
Really yeah, and the Divergence, even though that, well, yeah. And he gets so, it's so dull. He's just so dull. He's like, oh, but religion and science, and I'm not even going to, like, give any sort of ideas to this debate. I'm going to try to be the middle ground, yet still believing in religion. He's just boring.
I believe towards the end of his segment, he really Shatners it up too.
He does, and then if I remember correctly, he becomes an over-the-top villain. At the end of his segment.
Kind of like how he does in Dalek Soul. He really Shatners it up there.
Like, doesn't he like try to sacrifice his niece, who is played by, or was it his niece? Whoever
somebody.
Somebody. The Airman figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that. Whereas you have.
And then we have this cliffhanger that sort of just picks up and is unresolved.
Basically, the cliffhanger just disappears.
Yeah. It's like, the divergence are coming.
I was already pretty weirded out when I first heard this, but that just kind of threw me right off.
Yeah. So also, and then but his is the weakest segment. If I had to rank them, I think the strongest segment would be the Lord Tepesh segment.
Oh no, I quite like the Walton Winkle segment.
I like that one too, but
I'll admit Tepesh does do more to forward the story, though.
I like Tepesh more because he appears more in his segment, because Winkle only appears near the end. I like Walton Winkle because I feel like it's like Sylvester McCoy playing the Doctor as in season 24.
Oh, but
if the Doctor in season 24 was good.
So Sylvester in his segment is so good. He's doing a bang up.
It's the role he was born to play.
It was.
He's doing a bang up job. I love Walton Winkle. He's my favorite character in this saga.
I love the idea that he is this naive genius inventor who's making theme parks and being happy for the kids, yet he's been manipulated this whole time so that like.
And when he wakes up and he finds out the kids are dead, it's so sad.
It is really sad. It's like
you feel for him.
It's like, and his robots have decided to kill each other.
Like, that's not what he wanted.
It isn't. You
it's
just
terrible.
feel bad for the guy.
And you get to hear Sophie Aldred as a militant bunny rabbit as
well. We'll get to that.
I actually didn't include those characters on my list, so if you guys want to talk about those...
Animals are people too. Animal lives matter. Hashtag animal lives matter, you racist.
Also, that means I'm not allowed to talk about bennies.
No, you can, it's just they're not on my list. As I said, unstructured,
okay.
More unstructured than usual.
Okay, because I have to say, like, the dynamic between Sophie Aldred and Lisa Bowerman's character is basically the dynamic of Ace and Benny through a lot of the novels. And looking back on it, I love it because it's like we hate each other, but by the end we kind of have to work together. Also, Bonnie Langford in both of her segments, like you basically have
the
Bonnie Langford playing.
Yeah.
Playing Bonnie Langford, because, child actress, aka Goldilocks.
She did do a bunch of child acting, didn't she?
She was a child actor. That's how she got the role as Mel Bush. It's also funny now because she's often cast as like the diva.
Well, I think Walton Winkle and Tepesh definitely have a nice contrast between their segments.
Yes.
Tepesh is more serious and threatening, while Walton Winkle is sort of happy and then sad.
And sad.
Really sad.
Tepesh is basically Rassilon if Rassilon was a vampire. Like, can we just mention that for a moment? Like, they're basically the same person. Also,
I like how this sort of clears up how regeneration became a thing too.
Yeah, I also like how it like sort of does. It makes it better at fitting the vampires into the mythos because while both Blood Harvest and Goth Opera do, and even Vampire Science do great stuff with the vampires, we never really got how they fit in with the Time Lords.
Well, like when I was younger, watching the Five Doctors, I always wondered why Rassilon never regenerated. Now I know.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's just I like the image of Perry as a vampire. Like, just
so do you masturbate to that?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
As well.
I like.
Do you like to think?
Plays...
Do you like to think about?
I just love the thought of Perry as a vampire. Those big juicy breasts. I mean, I just love the thought of her as a vampire.
Her biting,
biting
my neck and sucking the life out of me.
I like how they actually give Nicola Bryant a role to play where she doesn't have to do the fake American accent.
I just love imagining it, you know?
You know? Sucking the life out of me.
No, I love what doesn't she? I also love that Perry's character kills Bonnie. I think she kills Bonnie Langford's character in that segment.
Excellent. Yeah. I wish that happened in the show.
And that's really what I love because you have Perry, who on television, Perry and Mel are both on television, kind of crap. They're both a bit goody two shoes. Like, have you noticed?
Well, Mel definitely, maybe not Perry so much.
That part I did find morbidly hilarious because Mel, I believe Bonnie Langford sort of goes.
Yeah, it's just sort of. It's hard to describe because there's a good atmosphere there. But it's also just comedic because
it's Perry killing.
It's two
Mel.
actors we know so well.
We know so well. It's hard, and then Maggie Stables really showing off her acting range better than she did in The Sirens of Time because.
Oh Christ! What? She was that weird ogre thing.
She was. She's also apparently in the Just War adaptation playing.
Yeah, and she got called a bitch, and that's like they couldn't wait to start swearing in Doctor Who. They had to do it in the first audio.
Well, okay, they did that. That's sort of a tradition in like the first spin-off media. There's a bunch of like adult stuff, like the first Virgin New Adventure. There's a lot of cursing, and certain. And like.
Does the Doctor ever say like "fuck off" or anything?
I'm pretty sure Ace said "fuck" at some point.
Oh, she said "fuck." We've had in
the audios, I mean.
Now, has the Doctor ever told anybody to piss off though, or something like that?
Yes.
When? I want to read this now.
I want to say it happened in Transit, but you shouldn't read Transit because Transit's kind of a shit novel.
Okay, well, it's not worth it just for one swear word.
Yeah.
It's like digging through a pile of shit for one nugget of gold.
The Seventh Doctor saying "piss off."
I can't imagine him saying "piss off." Imagine Colin Baker doing it, or Christopher Eccleston, or definitely Hart.
Or yes, sorry,
fuck off, my boy.
There's also So, what was I got sidetracked. What was I talking about? Oh right, Maggie Stables. Maggie Stables actually getting. I also like how they gave the Sisterhood of Karn more stuff, more than the new series ever had.
Honestly, I'm kind of sick of the Sisterhood of Karn at this point. They can just go die. I didn't like the Brain of Morbius, but they were kind of cool, I suppose. But now they just seem to come back every time Gallifrey is mentioned. And it's just
Moffat does. I don't think Moffat gets the Sisterhood of Karn. Like,
that I don't get why they keep bringing them back. They're not that interesting.
Like they only
weren't they in Sisters of the Flame?
Back in the audios.
Vengeance.
They only came back in the audios in Zagreus when it was a flashback to the start of the Time Lords because there's history there, and then Sisters of the Flame and Vengeance of Morbius when Morbius came back. So yeah, they're not needed every time you mention Time Lords. We must have these sisters because classic fans want that, right?
Time Lords? Well, I guess it means the Sisterhood of Karn should be there too.
Even Moffat doesn't sound that fucking dumb, Brian.
Are we sure about that?
Oh, but you see, Jacob, it's very clever.
Did you guys?
It's very clever, Jacob.
Did you guys watch the?
That sounds more Irish.
The Dr. Falls after show where his explanation for Bill not dying is he doesn't believe Doctor Who's a gritty TV show like The Walking Dead or something.
Has he actually watched the TV show then?
Has he watched An Unearthly Child? I mean,
I think the best example is Dalek's Master Plan, where it's just an absolute bloodbath. And
he said he wants.
Has he not watched the secret tapes that we know he has of Dalek's Master Plan #4?
Yeah.
Has he not watched the end of Attack of the Cybermen?
No, I mean, just the thing is, Doctor Who can be like a very, child-friendly, fun
optimistic
program. But
at some
the thing
time.
is,
has he not read Nightshade, the book by his best friend Mark Gatiss, where Ooh, that's got a lot of dark stuff.
And what I'm trying to say is just Doctor Who has a lot of range. It can be dark and gritty, but it also can be very like say for example, bit child friendly, like the Three Doctors or something. That's the point. It does have that kind of range, and well, you can't not have both of them happening. It's in some story at some point.
Yeah.
Like, not everything should be dark and gritty, but it definitely has a place in Doctor Who. And to say that it doesn't is just naive in the extreme, because it's had dark episodes since the beginning.
Yeah. Even Warriors of the Deep, which, let's be honest, it's kind of a crap story. I'm neutral on it, but most people think it's crap. That has a really dark ending. That's not optimistic in any way.
The only good part is the ending of Warriors of the Deep.
Is the ending of that story.
It literally ends with the Doctor looking...
Was the credits. No, it generally was like a very depressing ending. It was great.
It was one of Davison's best moments as the Doctor, where he's just like...
There should have been another way. That was a terrible Davison impression, I'm sorry.
What, me saying I done fucked up, or you trying to say I should have...
Me.
Him trying to say there should have been another way.
Oh, well, let's face it, Davison's Doctor's only, like, amazing in K's Randrasani. Like, on
And the
TV,
audio.
so...
I'm not going to get that debate started.
But maybe because I always win, because you can't actually name something wrong with a K's Randrasani.
I just find it boring.
Oh, well, that's very subjective. You can't call it overrated, then.
He says
Reviews are subjective, Dylan!
You said it was overrated, and, well, how can it be overrated if you can't name anything wrong with it?
Brian finds the Space Museum boring, which a lot of people do, but I've been watching it. It is hilarious.
It is. I agree.
It
well,
is.
at least the first two episodes.
Damn,
The first episode's serious, the second
elitists.
episode's hilarious, then the last two kind of drag a bit, but, not bad.
Well, it reminds me a lot of existentialism and, like, the themes of, like, choice. Like, I read Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and then when I started watching the series, I'm like, oh my gosh, I see all these themes. This is secretly brilliant.
Okay, well, let's move on. I think we've sort of
Lost the plot again.
diverged from Winkle, Townsend, and Tepish. So
We've talked about all three of them, I think.
So we're going to move to the three villains of the story, who are Zagreus, the TARDIS, and Rassilon.
Don Warrington as Rassilon may just be...
Oh my god.
Is one of the best things about this. Like, the arc in general.
If they announce Don Warrington as, like, the next Doctor or the next Master, I'll be happy with it. He's a brilliant actor. I love him.
Like, even in his, like, 5-minute cameo in an episode of Red Dwarf, where...
Oh, shit, he was, wasn't he?
He was
Yeah, he was that guy.
In the
Holoship. Holoship, yeah.
Yeah, Lister has like, the shouting match.
Mr. Red Dwarf!
Like, that was just...
He seems blissfully unaware of this hollow whip.
Yes! Don Warrington is an amazing actor. Like, I hadn't heard of him before this, but he also has a voice for audio.
He's in Rise of the Cybermen as well. As,
he is. He plays the president. No, it's not. No, he's not. He's not a prime minister. He's a president.
They have a president of the UK there, don't they?
Yeah,
they like execute the Queen or some shit. So they have a head of state.
Yeah, I think that was the explanation. But he's a good actor. I kind of wish they got him maybe to play Rassilon in Hellbent. That might have actually improved the story.
Donald Sumter was actually a very good actor. It's just he got
Donald Sumter is a great
material
actor
to work with.
You know, I watched the first episode.
Don
of Game
Warrington
of Thrones
wouldn't have helped Hellbent, if we're being honest.
Honestly, the thing is, all the actors who play Rassilon are so good. It's just lots of the time Rassilon's written shittly.
Who played Rassilon in The Five Doctors?
Oh, that guy who looks like Henry VIII.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. He wasn't a celebrity, which you think because JNT was all crazy about trying to get celebrities.
He kind of reminds me of Brian Blessed for some reason, but it's not Brian Blessed.
It's just because he has a loud voice and he's got a beard. That's the only connection.
Can we get Brian Blessed back in Doctor Who? Please?
Yeah, he was going to be Odin in Series 9, but he was ill.
Ah.
God damn it, Brian Blessed. That would have that would have made the girl who died a lot better, just because
Yeah,
of
it would
Brian
have.
Blessed.
Just because Brian Blessed.
Well, it still wouldn't have redeemed it though, because fucking talking baby and trying to make me take that shit seriously. Fuck off.
I'm going to make a girl immortal. And then just leave her to sort of just sit in her own shitty life.
You know, I think Series 9 maybe side with the Time Lords with the decision to exile the Doctor. It's
Also, if I may interject
for
for just a second, Maisie Williams was shit in Doctor Who. Yet, in the first episode of Game of Thrones, her performance is like miles better because she actually has a director telling her what to do and how to, emote.
And like how not to be a really aggravating, annoying. I was nearly going to say a word that might have been a bit not PC, so I decided
PC.
not to. I don't know if you like to keep it child friendly or something, Brian.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay.
Because I nearly called her a wench.
And this was like Maisie Williams. I think she was like 10 when she acted in Game of Thrones.
I mean, I'm not talking about Maisie Williams. I'm talking about the character of Shield.
I know. With a good director, Maisie Williams can be really good.
Can we just agree on a whole that Series 9 is terrible?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awful.
Alright, so back to...
Series 9 outside of Heaven Sent is terrible.
Well, of course, but, there's lots of seasons with one brilliant episode, but it doesn't make the rest of it any good.
Alright, so let's move on to Zagreus and the TARDIS. The TARDIS played by Nicholas Courtney, and Zagreus, of course, the creamy Paul McGann.
It's kind of sad because Nick Courtney is, I find, a little bland here, and which is weird because I just listened to him in Oh No It Isn't, where he plays a talking cat who makes a bunch of dick jokes.
That'd be great.
Infinitely more entertaining.
Okay, right, I'm buying that now. Thanks.
I'm not going to give context for that because
Sounds
the
like
context doesn't ruin it, but it makes it even funnier.
Well, just let us listen.
Yeah, he is right. Nicholas Courtney. This definitely is not his best performance.
It's not even
he's not given
performance.
much material to work with, in fairness to him.
I mean, he's exposition, then shouty, over-the-top villain.
Yeah,
basically. It's Paul Wright.
Actually, what is Rassilon? Hold on. What's Rassilon's goal in this story?
To release the Divergence.
I thought he was against releasing the Divergence, though.
And to make a deal with the TARDIS to get the to make a deal with the TARDIS, who's being a bitch because the Doctor decided to save Charlie's life and crack the web of time.
Is it just me, or is the Divergent arc as fucking confusing and stupid as the Matt Smith kind of Silence Will Fall arc?
I don't think it's that confusing, but it's confusing.
Well, I know it's not that confusing. It's just like it's like seems as if a lot's happening yet nothing happens. Just like with the Silence Will Fall arc.
I think that's more because it was cut short by 2 years, and it was like, right, we just need to wrap this up because new listeners, and Gary Russell's being an asshole.
Yeah.
And refuses to let us just do it and put an advertisement saying, okay, don't listen to the 8th Doctor reigns, new people. You will be confused. Just listen to everything else and you'll be fine.
I don't think I'm going to do another podcast on the Divergent universe because, I already did that discussion with Dylan and Harriet at one point, so I'm just going to put that out there now. There are not going to be any of these podcasts about the Divergent universe stories.
All you need to know is that The Last is fucking great. There you go.
Yes. And so is Natural History of Fear.
And also Scherzo is one of my favorite things of all time.
And I really like Caerdroia.
Caerdroia's okay, yeah.
I quite like Caerdroia.
I know, I love The Last because I like really fucking depressing fiction. That's like my thing. So obviously
it is really depressing.
The Last.
Yeah, but like it's setting up, and it's of course the problem is it just never gets resolved. Also,
Yeah.
the TARDIS
Well, it's
is
just kind of
basic-
the diversion just kind of disappear by the next life, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
which
just
I
like,
don't think they
what
were
was the
supposed.
fucking point of all this?
Yeah. No. Also, you have the TARDIS pretty much just being a bitchy ex-girlfriend.
Basically, yeah.
Basically.
I thought we were talking about Zagreus, not the Doctor's wife.
No, we're talking about Zagreus. Yes, sadly, this is Zagreus. But yeah, the TARDIS isn't really characterized well in this story. Nicholas Courtney tries his best with the material he's given, but it doesn't save it. So now we get to the man himself, Zagreus.
I really like Paul McGann in the role of Zagreus because it's sort of not as much as that little outburst he has at the end of Neverland, where it's just such a tonal shift, and it really scares you. Like, it really shows off McGann's range as an actor.
Yeah, McGann does evil very, very well.
He also does like pitiful. He goes through a wide range of emotions from evil to pitiful to confused.
McGann could just do anything, really. He's
Really,
that kind of
he
actor.
can.
He can just act whoever he wants. Like Patrick Troughton, really. He's a very good character actor.
I love Zagreus' bits with the cat, played by Kariz.
Oh yeah, that's great.
In
Before
my
he's
headcanon,
Kariz.
in my headcanon, that's
The cat actually looks like
the
Kariz.
the cat is the TARDIS reaching through to the Doctor's future and pulling in the Croca and Kariz from the future, just because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the way they get around the Schrodinger's cat thing.
As do I.
It's really funny.
If
I think that's
if
like-
I go
it's
out of
either
the
the
TARDIS,
second or
I
the
either
third-
become fully Zagreus or fully the Doctor again.
It's either the second or third time that Schrodinger's cat has been a thing in Doctor Who. We seem to have done it quite a few times.
Have they?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where it was because I heard it not long ago. I think it
I
was
mean-
in some obscure audio that I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but was it released before Zagreus?
No, it was released afterwards. Well, actually, I think it was released afterwards. I'm not sure. I can't remember which audio it was. I've listened to a lot of audios.
Well, I've
lately, okay?
listened to the first 50 audios, and I'm pretty sure there isn't anything.
Yeah,
about-
there isn't any in the first
Schrodinger's,
one, but you have to remember there's Doctor Who audios before Big Finish.
That is true.
Like,
Yeah,
I've
but the-
listened to a few ones from the 90s.
Maybe
like
the
John
Ghosts
Curtin.
of End Space?
Yeah, I listened to that the other day, although I don't think it was that.
Hey, was
Slickback?
the Ghost of End Space any good?
I haven't finished it yet, but I have enjoyed it so far. But it
Because
was
the
nowhere
book
near as
version
good.
of it, the book version is shit.
Paradise of Death, which is the one before it, is much better, at least so far. For me.
I actually
I'd
have
recommend Paradise of Death.
the Paradise of Death on cassette tape.
Oh, well, fucking listen to it, man. It's pretty good.
I
Especially
would, but one of the tapes is permanently sort of damaged and.
Well, if it's like kind of out, like hanging out, what you do is you get a pencil and you like twist it around.
Well, that's not all. It's actually tangled somehow. So,
You
I'd
probably need to take it to a professional.
yeah.
See, this is why cassette tapes are not a good form of storing media, because they get so easily.
Oh well, yeah, but they're fucking cheap as shit though. that's the good part.
Cheap, but not effective.
Not
Well,
effective.
pretty effective. I don't know.
Do I even have a cassette player anymore?
I do. It's
I probably do
actually in
somewhere.
pristine
The
condition.
CD player I dubbed the Big Finish machine has a cassette thing in the top. So.
My CD player is not only a CD player, but also a radio and a cassette player. So it's a nice.
Well, yeah, mine's a radio. Well,
It's a nice '90s stereo.
Yeah.
yeah, I think mine's pretty old. It wasn't originally mine, so it's probably from the 90s.
Mine's
love how we've
actually in
gone off
really,
topic
really good
again.
condition. We have.
We're talking about fucking radios.
This makes just as much sense as the plot of Zagreus.
Yeah, but this is the thing we're talking about Zagreus. You just go off.
This
beat,
is also
like Zagreus does.
Yeah.
This
And
is also
Zagreus-
going to be
Zagreus
the
isn't-
longest podcast we've done.
Well, it should be, because Zagreus is massive. Zagreus is nearly 4 hours long. Like,
But not as good as Farewell Great Macedon, which is the same length.
it isn't. I like Zagreus. I think it's genuinely a good story. I blame.
I think it's a bit too fan wanky, but it's still enjoyable
Yeah,
nonetheless.
it's a bit too fan wanky. A lot
A
of
bit
the
too
family-
poorly written, but still, it's fun.
Hold on,
enough,
we're not
that's-
into the final thoughts yet.
Okay.
Well,
Shush,
what's
shush,
that
shush.
to cover then, Brian?
Well, we've covered
Oh,
the
the plot
characters. Now I've got to cover the plot summary, and we have to talk about what we think of the plot.
I've already talked about most of the plot, haven't we?
You let him do the plot summary.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Alright, so, Dylan, this plot summary is actually a quote from you, from the Divergent universe
What? A quote
thing
from
we
me?
did. Yes, it's a quote from you. You created this plot summary off the top of your head
I don't remember this. God, do it.
in the Divergent universe discussion thing we did, so here we go. In Arc of Infinity, people get dematerialized from time and they end up in this place called Neverland, and then they try to get back with Anti-Time and Zagreus, and then they become evil and infect the Doctor, and then what happens is they go to they have to go in this universe so that the Zagreus energy doesn't destroy anything or something like that.
Is that like an exact quote? It doesn't sound like me.
That's an exact quotation.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that then.
That is your
I didn't
plot
even
summary
remember those
of
things.
Zagreus.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate, I have to say.
I mean, I'm simplifying a lot, but thank God I'm simplifying.
Oh,
Because I don't. Zagreus isn't easy. Like, I really like the. One thing I have a problem with is the structure. It's. So it's 3 episodes on 3-hour-long discs.
well,
but
one of
could-
them's more like 3.5. No, sorry, 1.5 hours.
Hours. Well, no, I'm just saying because you could easily cut up this into a 6-part story because you have the introduction, the cliffhanger resolved from Neverland, and all the stuff with, Charlie's mother and meeting the TARDIS / Brigadier and having Liz Sladen cameo and Annika Wills and the cat stuff. That would be end part 1 when you arrive at Reverend Townsend's segment, end part 2 at the end of that, pick up part 3 with Tepesh, and when the end of Tepesh happens, pick up part 4 with Walton Winkle. Part 5 and 6 sort of. I think it's
There's the
about where-
Jabberwock stuff.
Yeah, it's like just before they make it to the death zone. I think
like-
is when part 5 and 6 end.
I think part.
It's a very.
I think part
it's very
5.
much-
I think part 5 ends when the 8th Doctor gets stabbed because there's still like a 20-minute
Yeah, that's about
gap
it. Like
till the end
like
there.
it feels very much like it's a 6-part story, but it's like I feel like Russell and Barnes were like, right, we've got the 6-part story. They've all got different titles, all relating to Alice in Wonderland and literature. It's gonna be great. Hey, here you go, Nick Briggs. I think it was Nick Briggs. Who directed this one?
I think it might have been Gary Russell.
No. Okay, so Alan Barnes goes to Gary Russell. It's like, all right, Alan, you're great. We need to have it as 3 episodes, so just sort of connect them together. But
Well, the next-
plot doesn't.
The Next Life was 6 parts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Was it? Yes, maybe. I don't know. I don't.
I'm
remember.
pretty sure it was.
There's very few 6-parters in Big Finish, surprisingly, considering how many there were in the classics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know what's odd is that there's an audio called The Game, which I listened to it for the first time and I got to the end of the part 4. I'm like, wait, because I had it through the Big Finish. I had it and I didn't look at how many parts there were because I was listening to it while I was doing yard work, because I can't get them on CD as easily because of shipping costs. And then you go to the end of part 4 and you're like, wait, it's not over. This is it? Like, and I was like, oh wait, there are 2 more episodes. Like, it's kind of, because it's a weird structured one.
Yeah, but I
And
think
that means it's like the first Fifth Doctor story. That's 6 parts. Then.
I think you're right, Jacob.
Now the first chronologically would be Cold Fusion. That's
that's true, actually.
Yeah, because Cold Fusion takes place a couple days after Castrovalva.
Hmm.
Also, go listen to Cold Fusion if you haven't already.
I haven't listened to it, although I do want it. And I want Original Sin as well, because Tobias Vaughan.
They're both great. Cold Fusion is slightly better because it makes Looms canon.
Really? Is that the only reason you like it?
Yes! It's like, Dylan, you know how much I love Looms. Looms! It's the closest thing we'll ever get to that adaptation of Lung Barrow that they're never going to do. Why don't you do it? Please do it.
Do Lung Barrow, because nobody fucking has Lung Barrow, because it's expensive and rare as shit. Do a fucking audio.
Part of it
that
is
will sell.
Mark Platt is one of those authors who is very critical of himself. Especially on his earlier work. And he's like, I don't wanna have to look at that again. And like,
well, can he just get some other bastard to do it then?
Get John Dorney to do it.
Yeah, get him to adapt it.
Or I think even Nick Briggs would do a good job with Lung Barrow.
I wouldn't risk it.
That's a risk, because it's either going to be like a fucking masterpiece or really mediocre that it's boring. That's the Nick Briggs effect. It'll either make a masterpiece or
I'd say give it to either John Dorney or John. Oh gosh, what's his name?
James Goss would do a good job.
It's not Goss. The guy who did Jonathan Morris.
Oh yeah, basically any of the J's will do a good job.
Yeah. So anyway, back to I think that pretty much covers the plot of Zagreus.
Yeah, Zagreus is a confusing thing that exists, and some people like it. It
starts a really contrived story arc, which kind of ends unsatisfactorily. But hey, we get some good stories along the way, so who cares?
Yes.
I thought you liked the. Hold on, I thought you liked The Next Life, though.
I did like The Next Life. It didn't mean I thought the story arc was any good. I just enjoyed the story.
Okay, then. Well, yeah, that about covers the plot. So, if you guys want to give your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Anyone who says Zagreus is shit is objectively wrong, because it's not. It's just overly long and could do with a couple of cuts made and full of fan wank because it's an anniversary. I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10.
I'd probably give it like a 6. It's alright. Needs lots of work on it though to make it remotely worthy of being a 40th anniversary special. But yeah, it's alright. Not as bad as you can say.
I have to say that the Wormery, the one released right after it, also works as an anniversary special.
Well, I really want to get that. Because
apparently
that starts this weird Joe Grant character like Iris Wildthyme or something. Yeah, apparently she's good. So
she's a character from the books. She's the Doctor if the Doctor was kind of a drunk.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that's good. Like, she's a good character, so I thought that'd be a good place to start.
Anyway, my opinion on Zagreus is it's whatever you make of it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's just the way it's gonna have to be.
That makes sense.
Because, yeah, I think there's only one word to describe Zagreus, and it's Zagreus.
Mess. Oh no, mess was my.
This is the reason why this audio is the reason why Light at the End was so mundane.
Yes.
Oh Christ! I've never had to sit through just a longer barrage of fan wank in my entire life. It's so painfully standard. I've never seen an audio more standard than Light at the End.
Yeah, this is the much better anniversary special if you're a hardcore Doctor Who
Honestly, I think
nerd.
this is probably a better anniversary special just because I wasn't, like, fucking bored by, like, a story with so much.
Because it tries to do something interesting with the formula.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, it's formulate the shit like at the end.
It's like...
Honestly, if you want a good 50th anniversary special, you don't go Day of the Doctor, you don't go Light at the End, you go the beginning, the Companion Chronicle.
Yeah, that's
fucking good.
Yeah.
Well, it's by Mark Platt.
Well, yeah, of course it's good, by Mark Platt. And Susan's
And it
actually
has
decent.
Terry Malloy in it. It's
Oh,
Terry
of course.
Terry
Not playing
Malloy.
that as well.
Who doesn't
He
love a
plays
bit of
Stein.
Terry Malloy?
I think that's his name, Stein.
Yeah, Quadrigger Stoin.
Yeah, apparently he's in other audios, but I haven't heard them yet.
Yeah, they're not as good as the beginning.
Ah.
But Terry Malloy, guys, does this. He's almost as creamy as Paul McGann himself.
He does sound quite a lot different without the Davros voice. In fact, he kind of sounds a bit like a high-pitched Paul Darrow.
Actually, what he sounds like while doing Davros without the Davros filter thing is actually really hilarious.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you've seen
quite
Nick,
like this.
yeah, you see Nick Briggs without the Dalek filter doing the Dalek voice. So he's just kind of like into a microphone.
Exterminate.
Ooh. We give Nick Briggs a lot of slack, but without him, we would never have Big Finish.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I love you, Nick Briggs.
We love you, Nick Briggs.
When all the planets are aligned on a Friday the 13th, you produce one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time, and you've done it multiple times. But you also write some really, really standard stuff. Like, so standard, it's almost unlistenable. And that's not to say it's bad. It's just like, I don't need
and
more.
I forgive him for Sirens of Time because I feel like he put way too much pressure on himself.
Well, I think the other writers were putting way too much pressure on him as well, because only Justin Richards thought it was a good idea to have him write the first one. So, it's fair enough. He had a lot of pressure on him for that one.
Yeah, and it didn't. It was just average. It's not bad. Yeah. It's not.
And then I think his next story after that was the mutant phase, and that was fucking excellent.
That was good.
Oh yeah, I love the mutant phase. But yeah, so it's a nice way to end your. If you were like me and listened to all 50, Zagreus is a nice way to end your little journey through the early years of Big Finish, and I wouldn't recommend it to people who've only seen New Who, because you're going to be confused.
Or even people who've only seen Classic, just anybody who hasn't heard the previous EDAs, because I fell into that trap, and while it wasn't as bad as people say it is, you still should have the context, really.
Yeah, you kind of need the context. Once you have the context, it's pretty good.
The cover for Zagreus is the worst clickbait I've ever seen.
Oh my god, yes.
That's why I bought it without any other context.
That is, yeah.
It's not wrong. It's very misleading.
Very misleading.
Thank God I had Stu Bagful to warn me.
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think I found out about Big Finish because I heard someone going on about how good Spare Parts was.
Well,
I've been kind of aware of it for a long time because I saw it in Forbidden Planet. I was like, oh wow, that looks good. And then I got Return to the Web Planet for Christmas when I was like 8. It was good audio. And I don't know why I didn't get more, because I listen to that one all the time. And the thing is, I really wish I had followed that up, because I saw a picture of Spare Parts in the back of the box. I was like, oh, I should get that one. That looks cool. But I never did. Wouldn't the Spare Parts be so much better if I heard it when I was little?
How I was introduced to Big Finish was, I believe my family and I I was little, we were going to Canada, up to Canada, to see my uncle. And my dad's co-worker had bought Storm Warnings, Sword of Orion, Stones of Venice, Invaders from Mars, Chimes of Midnight, Spare Parts, and Blood of the Daleks, and had given.
But not Minuet in Hell.
And had given that to basically the stuff that was transmitted initially on BBC Radio, and had given that to us on an MP3 player.
Yeah, I started with Storm Warning 2 because I remember. Wait, are we still recording?
We are still recording.
Okay, so this is just, you should just subtitle Zagreus.
This is just supplementary Big Finish talk.
Yeah. No. So.
Yeah, this is. I think this fits in well, actually, because it does sort of tie into Zagreus.
I remember I had to convince my mother because I remember I got into it after the first 1 through 50 had gone out of print, so they had been reduced to the $2.99 for download price. I remember I had to convince my mother because she said, why would you want to buy it? It's just a music CD. Like, I had to convince her. No, it's like TV, but without the pictures. Because somehow I was able to grasp that idea.
My Big Finish...
Well, I mean, it's fair enough. For some people, they just don't have the imagination for it, which is fine.
My Big Finish story, beyond me finding out about it, is quite tragic because we actually lost those MP3 files and were never able to get them back. And so Big Finish sort of fell out of my life for a few years. Then I went to my first Doctor Who convention, bought Terra Firma and all the Davros stuff, and fell back in love with it. And that's the story of today.
That's the story of today. I have never actually been to a Doctor Who convention.
What a fake fan.
I know, it's like... which is kind of sad, because I can easily get to where Chicago TARDIS is, and that's a big one. That's like second only to Gallifrey 1 and Long Island Who. But it's like, I've just never gone.
I'm going to one relatively close to me, but soon. But we usually go down to a one in Baltimore called Regeneration Who.
I might be going to one in September if I can get the cash in Derby called... it's got a shit name, it's called Hooverville, but it's got loads of people there. Like, William Russell is mainly the main attraction for me.
That's why you're going, yeah. No,
well,
what's really nice...
Need I say any more?
What's nice is that Mary's going to one at the end of this week, and I've sent her I sent her a DVD of Survival to get signed by Sylvester McCoy, because I'd love to get Sylvester McCoy's autograph.
Well, anyway, so I think it's time to stop the recording now.
Pretty much.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this long ass episode. I mean, it's not the longest podcast, but, you know, I sort of changed up the format. If we were still doing segments, this would have been the longest segment that I've ever done.
Yeah.
So, that's all from me. If you guys want to say goodbye or piss off or whatever you banterous bastards say, go ahead.
Oh, I
This channel fucking sucks. Subscribe to Lord Slarr and get the real Doctor Who content.
I was gonna say,
and then unsubscribe.
Don't forget to unsubscribe to the official Lord Slug YouTube channel. And subscribe to me, because I only have 73, I think, now, because someone subscribed to me that I will not name on the stream.
And of course, I'm a bastard who has shit opinions, and if you made it this far into this podcast, I congratulate you, and I ask that you subscribe. You don't have to, but it would be nice if you did. Yeah, so that's it.